Yes, people, what up, man? Hope everyone is well. So, this was just playing around in my mind, and I thought I'd share it on camera and, of course, on the podcast also. So, shout out to the podcast, massive, in regards to bringing you as much value as I possibly can. And it's a conversation I had with a friend of mine many, many, many years ago. Shout out to Nia. Love you. Hope you're well. Hope to be in contact with you once again when I can find you, I guess. And me and her were talking, and she said to me basically, I don't care what religion a person is, they could be Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, you can have spiritual practices, it doesn't matter. Your true religion is what you do on a daily basis. And she pointed it to habits and tendencies, which are very personal to each and every one of us. Once we take the initiative of being conscious of these habits and tendencies, we basically start to bring more energy and life force and fuel into the mind, body, and soul and attain more balance and, of course, energy to us all. Now, habits and tendencies, they're like vampires. The way that you feed your habit and tendencies is the way a vampire feeds off its host. It sucks the life force out of that particular individual until that person drops dead, and the vampire is attained with life and energy, and basically the person just, like I said, drops dead and is dead until the next hit, when that tendency and habit kicks in, the vampire kicks in, and it goes looking for another host to feed off its, to feed basically its life force, to strengthen itself. So when we start working on our habits and tendencies, we find out basically that we reverse the flow of energy, meaning we have more energy mentally, physically, sexually, spiritually, emotionally. Because every time we gratify a particular habit and tendency, we are gratifying basically a thought form through our experiences that's imprinted that particular energy signature of that thought. We now crave that particular habit and tendency because we have created the somatic appetite. So what I mean by that is, let's say for example with me, I had, you may think it's a small addiction, but my habit was, and a tendency was, I used to drink a lot of hot chocolates. Now, I used to be in a place that I didn't want to be, and I don't drink or smoke, period. Never have, never will. But I think when I took a hot chocolate, it was me escaping from the madness that I was going through in that particular aspect in my life. Now, it felt good when I took that hot chocolate, sweet, because I love chocolate. But after that, the after effects, stomach pains, diarrhea, whatever you want to call it, it messed up my body. It messed me up emotionally, physically, spiritually, and sexually, because sugar destroys the sex drive. And we have to understand something. We actually have an intimate connection with the food that we actually consume on a daily basis. And that's, of course, also the drinks we put into our system. It's like when you have food and you're like, that tastes good. I love it. You're having micro orgasms because it's orgasmic in nature. The way people get intimate with their partners, sexually, emotionally, physically, spiritually, is how basically we are connected with our foods. And when you try to remove yourself basically from that particular food, there's friction, there's division. Like I said to a friend of mine, if you're with somebody that's bad for you, it's like bad food. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because bad food, it's bad for you, but you keep going to it because it makes you feel good mentally, physically, sexually. You love the feel, the taste, the gratification, the energy, the desire, the thought behind it. But when you have that particular food, it's going to destroy you. You're going to feel sick. You may get agitated. You may go to the bathroom. Just like when we are with somebody that's not good for us, it could be friends, families, people that we like or love. In that particular moment, we like them. But then the after effects is unhealthy for you. You're not happy. You're miserable. You want to leave, but you basically can't leave. And it's just how basically food actually literally works. And of course, I'm still going to stick to the point that I'm about to make about the the of course the 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 connection I had with that hot chocolate. But going back to the aspect of food for just so we can just divert there for a few minutes. It's basically when you have food that's not right for you, that's not off the earth, what it does, it robs the body of the vital nutrients, so then you automatically get hungry. Like one of the teachers I listened to, Phil Valentine, would say, real foods don't give you addictions. You don't get an addiction for a carrot or an apple, but you do for McDonald's. You do for a donut. So the reason when you bite into a donut and the you want to have more of it quickly is because the body realizes it's been robbed of the nutrients, so it needs to it gets you get hungry because the body needs to compensate for the nutrients that's been rubbed out of the body. So the more you have of that donut, the more hungry you get, the more you eat another one, another one, another one, until you think you're full. But give it 10-15 minutes, you're automatically hungry again, because you're robbing the body of its vital nutrients. And that's pretty much a habit and a tendency. But now when you actually reverse the flow of that habit and tendency, every time, because I used to do this because I used to be an addict to sugars and to salts because I loved it so much, but I cut all of it out because I have diabetes in the family, and I was like, I can't be eating like this. I used to have so much salt. I used to pour so much salt and so much sugar. I used to have like sponge cakes every night. Like I was an addict to it. And me being from Algeria, we have desserts and pastries, so it was hard for me to basically to do. But going back to it, what I did was every time I had basically an addiction for a particular fruit or that particular pastry, I would have oranges, I would have fruits, I would have carrots. So now the tendency that I basically had for that particular bad food, I reversed the flow basically and had healthier food. So it became easier for me to connect that emotional, orgasmic, psycho-spiritual link, and I became much healthier in the foods that I basically eat. Now, going back to what I was saying before, and sorry I drifted from left to right, but that's how my Gemini mind actually works, is when I went to get that hot chocolate, my observation, which was still, had no, my observation of that particular, how can I put this another way? So, before I experienced the hot chocolate, it was an observation, right? I observed it, I picked it up, and I basically now ingested the hot chocolate. Through that particular experience, through the observation, through the experience, it imprints as time, memory, knowledge, and thought, which is the past. And through that particular experience, basically, I created what you would call somatic cells, which only live on basically matter. So anytime you get those stomach pains or those that rumbling in the stomach, what you are actually getting is those somatic cells asking for stimulation, asking you to gratify that hit for that hot chocolate, for that cigarette, I don't know, for those new shoes, for that new car, whatever it might be. They're addicted to matter. They're not made by the sperm, and of course, and from what I heard, the sperm and the egg. So when I had that particular hit every single day, I would I'll be gratifying my thoughts. So now I was not in control of my thoughts. I wasn't thinking my thoughts were thinking me, and I was basically engaging in that habit and that tendency, which destroyed me in all aspects because it detrimented my health. I didn't feel good. I felt good when I took it, but after a while, I was like, I was out, man. I was out of it, and it took me a while to pretty much of course, get rid of it. But now I'm cool. Like I'm fine. Like I'm 99% cool in regards to, of course, to consuming foods that are not good for me. But it just goes to show how, of course, how thought manifests and how thought works and how thought is the root of all evil that links you up with your habits and tendencies. Once you do realize that once you overcome anything in life, you're using a form of alchemy to switch up the frequency and take away the addictive energy signature from that particular thought. You're bringing it into the body, and it dissolves into nothing but consciousness and light, and empty space goes within the body. And now that thought basically disappears, and you don't have that addiction anymore because the thought has been removed. So again, the root of all evil isn't money, it's of course your thoughts. And that's how basically what do you call it, that's how your thoughts actually work. Now, I'm not going to go into thoughts like I did before, because I did a whole 20-minute video on it when I was in Turkey. And if you want to watch that, you can click the link in my IGTV, which will take you to the video, and you can watch it and consume it for yourself. It was a fun video to basically make. But all of that to basically say, once I removed that particular addiction for that hot chocolate, my addictions and habits disappeared, and I became much calmer, and much calmer basically, and much grounded, because I removed a particular entity or demon, as you want to call it. Because if you think of it realistically, when we're dealing with habits and tendencies, we're creating demons, we're creating entities, we're creating parasites within the mind, which are pretty much your thought forms. These thought forms are what linger in the mind when the body, when you basically need to, when through your senses of smell, you may be walking down the street, and your addiction is for donuts, and you smell the donuts through the senses, through fire, which is light, which is activation. It connects with the chemistries within the mind, and now the thought basically plays, and now you go to gratify, and of course buy that particular donut to gratify your addiction, your habit, your tendencies, your thought forms. Because essentially what you're really feeding also, you're feeding your demons, your entities, which are your demons, your entities, which are basically your thoughts. So two things you can never run away from: death and your thoughts. Two things that you cannot basically run away from. You can't. You can refine your thoughts, make them balanced, but you can never run away from your thoughts, which is why it's always good to keep the mind balanced, the mind healthy, the mind clean. And as one of my teachers said, he said you can tell a lot by a person by the way they think, by the food they put literally into, of course, into their system, into their mouth. So habits and tendencies are linked. They're linked to your thought forms, which are your entities, your demons, your parasites, your devils, whatever you want to call them. You create that particular energy. Just like a woman incubates a baby for 9 months, and she takes the correct foods, the drinks, sleeps accordingly in regards to having a healthy baby, she feeds it. Through your addictions, through the way you think, you feed that particular demon, that particular entity, which now grows and causes you fragmentation, division, sleepless nights, anger, lust, frustration. Because every time now you want to move forward with that particular thought, you try to hide it. You try to say no. You try to detox. Without detoxing the mind, it comes back stronger and stronger and stronger. So to every single one of you who think that for you to lose weight or to gain weight, because a lot of people, like a friend of mine, she was like, I need to lose weight, I need to detox. So she was juicing and juicing and juicing. I said to her, you can juice as much as you want, but if you don't detox and balance the mind basically and keep it balanced, then your detox doesn't mean nothing, because you're going to get that thought form coming back harder and denser. Imagine you have an addiction and you juice for about a week, but you haven't dealt with the root of it being here. You're going to get a week's worth. It's like an orgasm, an implosion. It's going to build. And when it combusts and it pops, you're going to go and gratify that particular addiction tenfold, 100 times more. And it's going to cause you even more tension, even more friction. It's going to cause you a lot of problems. So habits and tendencies are very personal, they're very personal to you. One of my tendencies and habits is, and I try to move from it now and again, is the fact that I always bite my nails. Like since I was a kid, I used to bite my nose, and that's because I think a lot, and I'm slowly overcoming it, and it feels good. And it's really good because when you overcome any habit or tendency, you change the frequency of energy. Because every time you do this, or you think, or you eat a particular thing, what I mean is when you gratify your habit and tendency, you're expelling energy. Every time we talk, we expel the most vital force, which is our breath. Our breathing is the breath of life. This is why when you meet people who practice internal martial arts, or people who are very calm and quiet, they speak when they need to speak, because they understand that the breath is the breath of life. And that's pretty much like a life lesson that I've learned, which is why I've learned to be more quieter, more calmer in the way that I talk and walk. Everything that I've tried to keep it slow so I can conserve my energy, so I can do what I got to do. So this is why in my recent videos or videos like this, you may see that sometimes I speak fast and sometimes I speak very mellow. And that's because I'm trying to move from a particular programming, a particular habit, which is basically I speak so fast. But when I articulate my words, when I speak very calmly like this, I get much more out. It's not suppression, it's not me trying to change my nature, it's the fact that I'm slowing my flow of energy, which basically is serving me in a much better place. So even though I'm working fast and doing what I got to do in creating content or speaking, in creating content or doing my thing, I want to keep the energy balanced, because I want to have more energy throughout the day, more energy for the mind, body, and soul, to keep myself balanced. So I know we kind of moved from topic to topic in regards to the situation, but that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Habits and tendencies are very personal. So whatever your particular demon, entity, parasite is, even if it's like you biting your nails, or you having to have a particular food or drink that's not good for you, and you know it's not good for you, that's pretty much what you got to deal with. When you deal with that particular energy, you find that you be in a much better place, because you have more energy for yourself. And the thing is, every time you try to stop that particular energy, that particular thought form, that particular gratification of that act, pardon me, you're going to get withdrawal symptoms. You're going to get just withdrawal symptoms. You may feel like you're going to be all over the place. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to have that cigarette, I need to have that drink, I need to do this, I need to see this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I have to, I need it. What you're really battling it's not the actual object. You're battling your thoughts, because now you're going to toe with the parasite and entity that you've created, but now it does not want to leave. So every time you regress, if you regress in anything in life and you move forward and you regress, don't judge yourself, don't hate yourself. It's part of the game. It's not meant to be easy, it's meant to be hard. If you're feeling the sweats, if you're feeling the emotional change in mood, that's because you're going through, as I would say, is transformation. Transformation is a slow, painful death. But when you overcome it, you'll see why you went through it. And it makes you very good in actually relaying that particular information of helping others, because now you've gone through that particular experience. So don't judge yourself, don't dwell. Whatever you're dealing with in life, whatever habits, tendencies, whatever you've been hiding to one side, just understand it's going to come to be that you will attain balance, because it's meant to be hard. Dealing with yourself is the hardest thing, period. 99.9% of the stuff that we go through is all internal. A percentage of it is basically external. If someone pisses you off, and you react, it's your fault, not theirs, because you're the one that's reacting. And you're reacting to that particular experience because you've experienced it somewhere else, and it's triggered you to act and lash out at that particular person. So it's your thoughts. Your thoughts are what keeps you locked in to that particular state of thinking. If you observe anything in life, if you was to observe me, if you was to observe this wall, without any emotional attachment, without any judgments, without anything attached to that wall, this wall would be it wouldn't have a name. It wouldn't have anything attached to it, because it just becomes energy. It's energy that's manifested into basically this form of matter we call a wall. Because when we say the word wall, we think of books, we think of teachers, we think of experiences, we think of books, movies, comic books, songs, conversations that tell you that is a wall. So you're replaying it from the time, knowledge, and the past. So every time you think of what this is, it's now the past. It's nothing to do with what it basically isn't. So when you factor that in, everything that you look at has no names, no experiences attached to it, because it doesn't. It's just energy basically manifesting as form. So if you observe anything in life, a person, a habit, a tendency, you will find that nothing is there. But when you think of it, you get every experience that's told you what it is flushes in, and now you create time, distance, and space. So in a nutshell, basically, when I look at this without any time, judgment, thought, memory, knowledge on the past of it, it's the observer being me, looking at the observer being me, is now the observed. I become the wall because there's nothing in the middle. So it's two images looking at each other. And if you want to find out more basically of what I basically said again, feel free to again check out the link in my video, right? The link in my IGTV. Of course, I'm going to post this up on YouTube, and you can check out my 20-minute video that I did on a conversation on meditation. So this has been a conversation basically on habits and tendencies. It wasn't meant to go this way and that way, but it's just, I guess, consciousness just surged through me, and I wanted to bring some value to you people in regards to something that can help you basically with what you're dealing with, and especially with dealing with this whole corona lockdown scenario. This will have, this can help you in regards to allowing you to think, observe, use your critical thinking, go within yourself, talk with yourself, and then use that particular inner voice, that inner enlightenment to really help to propel yourself, of course, literally forward. That being said, hope everyone is well, because my camera's about to cut off. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, all that good stuff. IGTV, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And guess what? I'll catch every one of you in a bit. Peace.